Hello, everyone. Welcome to Second Saturday Satsang, where together we Zoom. And as you know, Satsang is a Sanskrit word and it means in the company of truth. So we come together to sit in the company of truth together and to study spiritual principle, to raise our vibration, to clear our energy fields, and to be in community. Let's start out by inviting our guides and teachers from the higher planes to join us now. So yes, we ask for clarity and wisdom and guidance. And we bring to this meeting, we bring an open heart and a beginner's mind. And we acknowledge the presence of the masters, the grace of the Guru, the blessings and guidance of Mahavatar Babaji, Satguru Maharaj Ki Jaya. I would like this morning to begin with the mantra of our lineage, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Most of us here have been initiated into this mantra. In the Hindu tradition, and I've got a little picture of Shiva here, or a little statue of Shiva here in the frame. In the Hindu tradition, Lord Shiva holds the energy of transformation. And how many of us know that all of humanity is in the process right now of transformation? So Shiva is the energy of dance and movement and power and energy and the freedom to become that which is calling you, that which is inside of you, which is you. Shiva is the primal Atman, the soul of the universe, which corresponds to the soul in you. And when you worship Shiva, you worship the self with a capital S. That is you, right? So not your ego, not your personality, yourself, which is connected to the all, to God, if you will. So as we chant Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva, we are bowing to and agreeing with our internal connection to Shiva, to spirit, our very highest intention. And it's also important to know that the words of this mantra have been chanted for eons. So when we chant these words, we are literally tuning into thought forms that are ancient. We're not starting from scratch. We have an entire energy form that will pick us up and include us and carry us along. So as we actively intend alignment with and attunement to the spirit of that to which our souls are calling. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Now, because of the confusing time delays, I'm going to ask you to chant in unison with just me on your own on mute. You will stay on mute, and I'm going to share the words on screen. Oh, wait, sorry, it was down here. I have to open it up, I'm sorry. There we go. One day I'll get quicker at this. Wait, what's I think maybe my Shiva is sitting on my my Shiva is sitting on my, I don't know if that's it or not. Why it won't do this? Well, for heaven's sakes. There we go. There we go. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Okay. So we'll chant together. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. 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 So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I love that chant. I just love it. It feels good to my whole soul, and I hope you feel it too. Years ago, I remember announcing to my best friend at the time that I had discovered the sweetest words in the English language. And they were, I know exactly what you mean, right? It's deeply satisfying when a friend gets you, validates you. And my best friend and I understood each other, even if no one else did. But these days that best friend has disappeared from my life, and she no longer understands me or validates me or indeed seems interested in my life. And yet here I am, still a valid human being. All right. So let me tell you about an experience I had back in 2012. About 9 years ago, I was in Charleston, South Carolina for a 5-day Kartikeyan yogic method class with three of my favorite teachers, and it was a wonderful class. But I was having emotions. Oh my gosh, I was reeling back and forth between highs and lows. At first, feeling closer to God than I had ever felt in my life, and then fretting because no one else seemed to recognize what was happening to me. And I even wondered, if my teacher doesn't notice my progress, is it even real? But I knew it was real. And I was so weary of the roller coaster ride of my own internal machinations. So when the class began and the teacher asked us all to set an intention for the class, and they came around and asked all of us, all I could think of is, I just want to stop being at the mercy of these blithering doubts. But surprisingly, the words that came out of my mouth kind of surprised me. The words that came out of my mouth were self-actualization. I want to be self-actualized. Now, where did that come from? I literally felt it settle in my brain. I felt it hover outside my head and settle in the right part of my brain. Um, but there it was. It was out there. So, and almost magically, that was the day that I learned the lesson. Drop it. Drop it was a lesson that I'd heard repeated by my teacher many times in Satsang. It meant dropping all the stories in my head about other people, about their actions, about their needs and their expectations of me, and most of all, their opinions of me. But knowing about drop it and really getting it deeply in your body, that's quite a different thing, right? But that day, I got it. I got it. I was able to acknowledge every one of my emotions and doubts as they arose, and then in each case, make a decision to drop it. And it worked. It was so easy. It felt amazing. I I very quickly learned too that learning to drop it did not mean that I was immune from negative thoughts. Instead, it meant something even better. It meant I had become an observer of my thoughts. I had become an observer rather than a victim. And yes, I had those feelings and I observed them and I dropped them. It was all conscious. And then I saw them, I felt them, I dropped them again and again and again. And not once did I attach to them. Not once did I get stuck in their energy. Not once was I discouraged by their return. I no longer regretted my thoughts, which is a big thing. I just noticed them and then I dropped them. And then 2 days later, within the confines of the class, my teacher declared that I had achieved self-actualization. Wow. So yes, it's very pleasant when a friend really gets you, But I have stopped looking outward, even toward my teacher, to authenticate my experience. I trust myself. And self-trust is, of course, exactly what my teacher had been trying to evoke in me all along. So once in olden times, in a village in southern India, there lived a man who was the head man of his village. He was wealthy for that part of the world, and all of his village respected him and depended on him. When anyone had a problem, they brought it to him. When the village crop failed, the farmers came to him for advice. And he worked so hard. It was his job to run the village in such a way to make all of its elements work together successfully. If a woman was without a husband, he helped her to find one. If a boy was truant, he counseled him. If a widow was hungry, he fed her. His good work in the village was renowned, and he could always be depended upon, and everyone extolled his virtue. But one day, a holy man came to visit the village, and all of the villagers were excited, and they stood in line to receive darshan. Darshan is an in-person moment with the holy man. Darshan was considered a great blessing. The holy man, when it was a turn of the wealthy man to see the holy man, he stood before him, and the holy man looked deeply into his eyes and said, "I sense that you are weary." The wealthy man, who suddenly felt seen for the first time, actually began to weep, and he said, "Teacher, you are indeed right. I am responsible for everyone in this village. If I stop working, if I stop helping, if I stop shouldering the burdens of the village, everyone will suffer. I'm so weary, yet I do not know how to rest." "Yes," said the holy man, "I see." Then he cast his eyes around and he saw a large stone several feet away, and he said, "Go pick up that stone and bring it here to me." The wealthy man did as he was asked, but the stone was very heavy. And as he stood there holding it before the holy man, he wondered, what is the point of this? It makes me even more tired. "Is the stone heavy, beloved?" asked the holy man. "Yes," he replied. "Is your burden heavy?" "Oh, yes." "Then," said the holy man, "drop it." So, what does that story mean? At its core, it might mean to stop carrying other people's burdens, right? And it might mean to drop the old stories that we carry. You remember the famous quote from Einstein where he said, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results." Well, it's very difficult to do things differently if we keep believing the same stories and acting on those stories. And our ways and means for getting through our life has been developed along with the stories that we have been telling ourselves. So if we insist on buying into those stories, how can we change the way and the means by which we get things accomplished, right? We have to drop it. We have to drop it. We must drop it. Now, maybe you're carrying other people's expectations of you or their opinions of you, and maybe you're telling yourself, these things really do matter. Okay, if that's the story you want. Or you could drop it. I have to tell you, drop it was one of the most important lessons I ever learned. And when I learned it, it literally changed my life. For instance, I could notice if someone didn't like me, but instead of trying to change it, I dropped it. Let it be what it is. I noticed it again the next time I saw him, and it even hurt a little, but I dropped it again. As I said, it changed my life. But you know what? Several months later, after this happened, after this class I was in, I noticed I was doing it again. It was just out of the blue. I thought, I'm doing it again. I'm holding on to things. And I thought, oh no, I've lost it. And so I wrote this long, anguished email to my teacher. And I said, at first dropping was so easy. And when it started not to be easy, it was insidious. I almost didn't notice at first that I had begun to, as the story goes, feed the bad wolf and replay aggravations in my head over and over. And I asked him, have I lost my self-actualization? And I'm going to read his answer. It was perfect. Here's a little of what he said. It's impossible to lose one's spiritual evolution. It's like losing one's virginity. Once it's happened, oops, it's happened. What you are experiencing is simply your chakras and your mind purifying themselves. And then he explained to me that spiritual evolution happens on a sort of spiral. You learn a lesson and you ascend to another level of the spiral. And then as you make your way around that ring on the next spiral and you come to the same place, you very often experience the same lesson. Only if you notice carefully, you'll see that you're experiencing that lesson at a higher level than you were before. And sure enough, he was right. I thought about it and he was absolutely right. Whereas before it was somebody that I didn't care that much about. Now it was about somebody I loved. So it was a higher lesson. We keep on learning them, right? So I want to meditate together. Let's meditate together. Find a place where your body can feel comfortable and supported. Your spine is straight, either sitting or lying down. That's right. Let's breathe together. Take a deep, slow breath in through the nose. Hold it to the count of 7. And release through the mouth, relaxing the body all over. And take another slow breath in through the nose, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Hold to the count of 7. And release through the mouth, allowing your mind to go blank. Resting. Take a third breath in through the nose. Hold to the count of 7. Feeling the prana enriching your energy field. Breathe out through the mouth, releasing and relaxing and letting go. Letting go. You are released and relaxed. Imagine yourself walking through the woods when you come to a large clearing with a beautiful bench and a gentle waterfall at the edge of the clearing. So nice. It's springtime. The breeze is gentle. The birds are chirping. The wildflowers are starting to bloom. You begin to walk toward the bench. As you walk, you notice there's a large stone in your path, and you are moved to bend over and pick it up. It just feels so right to pick it up because you know it carries some of your stories. You carry the stone to the bench and sit down, looking at the stone in your lap. It's a heavy stone, but you are mesmerized by it. Even though the stone makes you feel constricted, There's something about it that feels like protection. You find yourself wanting to write more upon the stone. You're wanting to focus on the things that stress and upset you. You write some of those things. And for some of them, you do not have words, only emotions or sensations. So you draw a representation for those. And you're surprised at the level of your own drawing talents as you watch your drawings develop. As you write or draw, the stone gets heavier, heavier and heavier as you record all of your troubles, your woes, your worries, even your resentments. The stone gets heavier and heavier until it's hard for you to hold it in your lap. As you glance up from your work, your eye rests on the waterfall and on the pool of fresh water collected at the bottom of the fall. The word that comes to mind is refresh. Oh, you want to be refreshed by the healing waterfall, but you are still carrying your heavy stone. Suddenly, you hear the water whispering across the breeze to you, and the whisper says, "Drop it, drop it." You look down at the stone with all of its memories and worries, all of the expectations and opinions of others, all the things you've worried about, and you wonder if you can really let them go. They are heavy and uncomfortable, but they are your stories. The stories you've decided a long time ago are important. Drop it, whispers the breeze. You stand up holding the stone with you, and oh, it's so heavy. It was heavy before, but now that you've added even more of your troubles, it's gotten even heavier. You struggle over to the waterfall. And at the foot of the fall, just where the pool forms, you drop it. The stone sinks to the bottom of the shallow pool at the foot of the waterfall, and you watch as the water from the fall washes the words and the symbols away under the water. Clean. Yes. Then you notice a smaller rock at your feet. It also has a picture of another resentment, something else you've been worrying about. You pick up this rock and immediately you drop it under the waterfall where the writing immediately washes off. Peace. Another smaller rock appears at your feet. The same symbol is drawn on it, but no problem. You pick it up and drop it again. This keeps happening. Stones appear and you drop them into the pool of healing waters. You have discovered a pool of healing waters. As you walk back home along the lane, you see little rocks, but you decide not even to pick them up. It is your choice after all. You realize now the stones will always be there. You can decide to pick them up or let them go. Sometimes the stones might even cause you to stub your toe, but you still have a choice. You can always choose to drop it. You feel light and clear, light and clear, and grateful to the breeze that taught you to drop it. Thank you. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you. Now bring your attention back to the room where your body rests in meditation. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the sound of my voice. Notice how your body feels, and take a deep cleansing breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. I promise you that this lesson, Drop It, will come in layers. But once you master it at the first level, you'll have the pattern in your energy field, and you'll be able to build upon it and move through life with a new ease and grace. This is one of the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn. So, all right, I want now to spend some time in community. So I am going to, well, you'll have to unmute yourselves. And I'm going to ask you to share what that meant to you. I'm going to move Shiva for a minute so that I can operate my stuff here. What did that lesson mean to you? What came up for you? Ishwari, yes, you are muted.
Thank you so much for talking about this, Indira, because I'd so identified with the feeling of having attained something and then lost it all. When I find myself having thoughts that are worrisome and negative and self-doubting and full of anger and fear, and sometimes I think I must have just lost everything that I attained when I was studying with our teacher. So hearing your story really helped me to reaffirm that I can choose to drop it in each moment, just choose to drop it again and again. And so that's what I'm going to concentrate on. And I ask for prayers from everyone and assistance to help me to do that, because I need a lot more discipline. I'm praying for self-discipline to be able to get off of that monkey mind jabbering free when it happens. So it's really great to see everyone. So wonderful to connect and feel my oneness with all of you, to know we're all the same consciousness, we're all that divine, beautiful energy. So great to connect with you all, and it's bringing back lots of very warm and loving memories to me. So thank you, Indira, for doing this.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's. I sometimes think that we come into to incarnation with a particular curriculum, and I know for me the curriculum is, one of my majors anyway, is to not care what people think, and that I keep learning that lesson at higher and higher and higher levels. And, maybe yours is similar to not believe in yourself. And so you keep getting better and better and better at it. But we want to jump to the end, right?
Yeah.
Shanti, it's so good to see your face. What's going on with you?
Hi, I jumped in a little late, so but thank you, and thank you for the beautiful meditation. This is, you probably know, is one of my favorite stories anyway. The whole drop it. There's so many of them, but the lesson is the same.
Yes.
And I really appreciated the meditation. I did something different in the meditation, which is, it's going to happen, but it was fun to see, what my response was to the big boulder in the road. And when you said pick it up, I said no, I'm walking around it. And so I walked around it and went to the bench and sat down, and then another one appeared in my lap, and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't happening. And the words, I let the words go up in the spray of the waterfall, and the rock got smaller and smaller, and it was a little pebble, but there was still something there, so I just held on to it. I put it on the bench as you were going through your meditation. It sat there on the bench, and then I went through the rest of the process. And it was funny because when you said you see another small pebble and you pick it up, I picked it up and then I skipped it across the So I was like, oh my goodness, your mind is this beautiful space of imagination and creativity. And so, I got goosebumps because I said the drop it story is so powerful. And the other part, the epilogue is, you can create whatever story you want to create.
Yes.
And so the choice is to recognize where you are and then make a conscious choice of what you truly want. So you get to replace that big heavy boulder with whatever you choose.
Thank you for that teaching. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for that teaching. I should have known you'd make your own story.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
That's beautiful. What a wonderful teaching. Thank you so much. Oh. Who else wants to share? Vishpala.
Hey, good morning. It's funny, because as soon as you were saying the person before me, I don't know your name. I'm sorry, and my glasses, I can't see. But it's probably because you're farther along about dropping it, because I was like, oh, I'm so big and powerful. I can pick up my heavy rock. And I've been so prideful about being able to carry this heavy load that dropping it just is like, oh, I can carry this. And it's just so funny because I'm not where you guys are at yet. And I want to be. And what came up for me in the meditation, I have an issue with my sister going on, and I do need to drop it, and then I drop it, and then a couple months later it comes up, and I think what actually is happening is something else is bothering me at a negative vibration, and then it attracts this other one back, and then they resonate maybe, and then I just have to drop them both. But I got a text from my sister today, and I even tried to say, hey, well, are you around? Maybe we can say hi. Like, I've not seen her in months, and we were best friends. And I just thought, I have to drop it. Like, I have to drop it. And then that was before Satsang, right? Or right, and so it's just funny how you or the mind or the spirit knows the lesson and starts to use the lesson, and then you showed it. I really definitely understand about the different circles. So for me, I really appreciated that because I really believe then you can be like, well, I passed the first circle, I can pass this next circle, and I can just love myself with grace. That's where I'm at. If I had a word that I wanted to aspire to, it's always the word grace. And I think dropping it allows you to be graceful to yourself as well as others. Yeah. So that I learned a lot from you today. Thank you. And all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishwala. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You brought your beginner's
I know.
mind with you, didn't you? You brought your beginners.
That's where I'm at.
That's wonderful. That's the best place to be.
Thank you.
I once took a class with Samyama, and it was in upstate New York, and nobody there knew who she was, and she was so humble, and so she had such a beginner's mind that she acted, she appeared as if she had never heard any of these principles before. Ooh, she'd say, and she was just, and I thought, that's beginner's mind. Oh my stars. And they had no idea who she was. And she didn't care. She had a beginner's mind. It was extraordinary. It was such a lesson to me. Such a lesson to me.
Yeah, Simyam is amazing that way. I agree.
Yeah.
And I didn't mute it. She told me, she said that this issue with my sister, if I don't resolve it, is really going to be a stumbling block to my spiritual growth. Because you're right. Like if you hang on to anger or hate or anything, you don't drop it, then it's only hurting me. It's not hurting my sister. I mean, it's hurting my sister a little, but it's really hurting me.
Right, exactly. Yeah, what's that old saying? It's like taking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. But yeah, who else wants to share? I'll call on you if you don't. I'm looking at Kanika.
I thought you were. I
know you can. I can see your eyes. I'm like, she knows. She knows she's next.
Oh, well, divinely timed was your message and your meditation. Thank you very much. What was presenting just before, and I got hit by a massive whammy wave of it last night while working, and I am definitely weary of it. And it's a consciousness, and it's like my mother's consciousness, okay? And the negative ick side of that family, because most of it's not hers either. But really also looking at my personality constructs and seeing them as those. And so I've got this sort of rebellious inner teenager and some other little child aspects that are playing out. That obviously I'm aware of it. So that means it's not me, right? I can see that it's not the real me, not the big me, the grown-up version of me. And yet it's still there in the subpsyche or constructs of the ego. So I would very much like to drop all of that and not get hit by, because it comes through and it feels like just fear. And it is very extreme, and it's not pleasant and not comfortable. And it kind of is hijacking my experience of life. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
Any further suggestions on that one, other than just the awareness and the intention to clear the energetics of it?
Yeah, that, and
Cause core record and effect.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's it. That was it. Like all of it, all 4 levels and layers.
No, the only thought I had is, this. I've begun doing the satsang and the meditation that's online on the. You can find it on YouTube, but you can also find it on the Temple of the Inner Self. I've begun to do them together as a theme. So this is the same meditation that's on the Temple of the Inner Self right now. So if you want to repeat it, that's not a bad idea. I will say that I heard this lesson many times before I got it. When I got it, I thought, oh, this is so easy, but I'm telling you, it was not easy until I got it. And I don't know what the magical thing was when I finally got it, but I think hearing it over and over and believing it over and over, and I think this meditation, doing it over and over might be a way to that. Anybody else have a thought?
You know, I would say that what you're experiencing is absolutely normal and common as you go through your own personal evolution and awakening. And just as this meditation allows you to release, I think Indira's suggestion that you do the meditation over and over again and focus on those things specifically that you want to release as being represented by that boulder, and see them. You can change it any kind of way that you want. I truly believe going through the process of recognizing things that are not yours and giving them back to who they belong to is a really powerful part of that meditation. That if you recognize, and it sounds like you recognize those things that really aren't yours, you know, and we're we're products of where we came from, and who those people are and their experiences and the experiences of those people before them and before them. So our historical persons, a lot of that is that we have imbibed or taken as our own energies that are not ours.
Exactly.
And if you recognize that it is not yours, give it back. You're not required to keep it. You're not required to keep it.
Mm.
It doesn't matter whose it is. It could be your mother's, it
Right.
could be your child's, it could be, and we do that every day unconsciously when we interact with the grocer, the cashier at the grocery store. We pick up unconsciously pieces of them. We can't help it as human beings. We're energy. We are energy. And that energy exchange is part of living. And at the end of the day, it would maybe work or help for you to sit in meditation with yourself and simply say, you don't need to know who it came from. You don't need to know how it got there, but consciously think about letting it go back with blessings to whomever it was that it came from. And the second part of that is ask for what you left to come back to you.
Mm.
Because in the same process of taking on others' energy and consciousness, you let some of yours go.
Right.
So when you're in conversation with someone and there's angry energy there or selfish energy there, and there's an exchange, you both have exchanged really important pieces of yourself in that moment. And it's important to take it back. It's yours. So simply ask for it back. And getting into a practice of doing that, I think will assist you in very slowly exhaling, because it feels to me energetically that you're holding your breath.
I do that sometimes, and
Mhm.
I try to be aware, conscious of what
Mhm.
I've stopped breathing so deeply. So
Yeah, and be gentle with yourself. You know, it's just a part of the walk, and you've chosen to work toward becoming awake, and that process never ends. As a human being in an evolutionary walk, there's no destination, it's the journey. So allow yourself to be on this magnificent journey and experience what you're experiencing and being okay with where you are. Where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Thank you very much.
Does that help?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I love about community. Arunadeh, what do you have to say? I see your mute is off.
What I discovered during the meditation and right after it is, I had a lot of things that I wanted to drop, and once I dropped a few things, others popped up, other things popped up, and it was like digging through layers. I did some work in the yard yesterday, so and digging holes to plant flowers, and it was like going through the various levels of dirt, that I saw there, and it so it's a process of uncovering, and as I uncovered a different feeling or different obstacle or something that I wanted to get rid of. It was, as you were describing, picking up the other pebbles and throwing them or dropping them in the water. And that helped me an awful lot. And it ended up feeling lighter. So thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. We have just about 5 minutes left before I do a card reading, which we like to end with. So who else would like to share? Prasad, you see that beautiful? For some reason, I just feel like you and I are looking in each other's eyes right now.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I was a few minutes late, but I really, with the meditation, what Shanti said, sometimes it's so difficult or so easy to get influenced by the negativity of other people that it's just that it wears you out. And I'm going to start asking for all that energy that I spend on those people back, because my heavy rock is what is going on at work, and I try to give the best disposition when I go in, and then I get influenced by all the negativity. So I'm going to be more myself and not let them get into me, because I don't know how to put a shield, but I will ask it back when that happens. Ask for that energy back. Thank you, Shanti.
Thank you.
For that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm. So as a mother, you get to the point that you just drop it and you start praying and you said, okay. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God my kids are making good decisions. So that helps me to drop it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big lesson to drop it when it's
Maybe
your
one
family.
is not making a very good one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good.
You can only do so much.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Surya, since if you unmute yourself, you can speak. And if you don't unmute yourself, I'll assume you don't want to. Oh, there you are.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you. And I enjoyed the meditation. I was having a hard time visualizing it. But I felt the process, and resentment had came up. and I started feeling it, and it got stronger and stronger. And as you walk through the meditation, it just started disappearing, and I really wanted to keep picking it up, but I couldn't, and it just faded away. And as much as I tried, I couldn't even bring it back up or form it. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Not all of us are visual. I'm not visual, which is probably the reason why I don't do this kind of meditation very often, because I don't easily imagine things myself, Surya. So I get it. So I think that's extraordinary, because what that says to me is, the visual is a representation of what you went right for the real thing. The visual is just representation. What you did was the real thing, So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, does anybody else have anything to say before we do our card? We draw our card? Okay. Well, this in honor of National Women's Month, I'm using this deck. It's called the Power Deck by Lynn Andrews, and it's a very shamanic deck, which it occurs to me that the process that that Shanti described about taking back that which is yours and giving away, that's a very shamanic process to do that. So these cards are shamanic cards, and I'm going to just ask Spirit to give us a card that is appropriate for everyone, and maybe particularly for someone, and give us a message that we all can hear. Card there. The card is creativity. I'll show you the picture and I'll read it to you. Let's see. Number 40. So it's all about creativity this week. Your creativity is like a story. It needs a voice, a way to be heard in the world. Creativity has moved into your hut. Creativity is part of your future life. People think that creativity is like stories, that it is outside of them, like truth and power, but it inhabits you like your own life force, and it animates your being. Creativity is within the crystal palace of your mind. You are about to go on a long journey. It's called your life. You will learn to heal the evil forces of darkness. You are a warrior in the fight against ignorance. The dark sorcerers in life are created within each of us when we live a life of unexpressed truth, unexpressed creativity. When we live someone else's truth and not our own. Define your own creativity and live that creativity in the world. How perfect is that? In the description of the card, that's just exactly what we've been talking about. That's so perfect. The painting is entitled Crystal Palace. The pagoda is a symbol for the creative self. It is open to allow for the openness of mind. If the pagoda were your physical body, the crystal would symbolize your spine, the conduit for your energy. The crane is a guardian of happiness and longevity on your pathway to eternal creativity. The snowy mountains symbolize the higher state of consciousness required for true creativity. Creativity is a teaching of the East because it takes strength to delve into the deepest part of your spirit and then to manifest the truth that you find there. So creativity is the lesson for this week. Thank you. I thank you all for joining us. This has been delightful. Satguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jaya.